In this video, we got another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. What this series is you guys will let me know 3 different players on Twitter at X7Tanaka. I'll put out a tweet saying give me 3 players for a Start Bench Cut vid, and then you guys in the replies will give me 3 different players, and I'll have to tell you guys who I would start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. So for example, Velocity said AK-47, Jonathan Bender, and Jonathan Isaac at the small forward position. At least that's what I assume, and I have to tell you guys who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. So if you guys also want to let me know 3 different players on the YouTube comment section down below, if you guys want to let me know 3 different players, I'll tell you guys who I'd start, bench, and cut. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just get right into the video and go over these 3 cards, from people different sent in, and then tell you guys who I'd start, bench, and cut. So Will Chamberlain, Hakeem Olajuwon, and the D-Rob. I would say for me, if we're talking about at power forward, I would start Hakeem Olajuwon, bench D-Rob, and then cut Will Chamberlain. I think Wilt's so much better at center because of his player model and his defense. I just think his jump shot just is too much of a liability to run at the power forward position, because sometimes he'll be on the wing and it's just going to be really hard to green with this card from the wing. It's going to be a lot easier in the corner if he is at the center position. So I think Will Chamberlain, if we're talking about at center, would maybe even start over Hakeem and D-Rob. But if we're talking about power forward, I think Hakeem's the best power forward out of these 3. Then I think it's D-Rob number 2 and Wilt number 3. If we're talking about at center, then I would probably go Wilt Chamberlain, Hakeem Olajuwon, and D-Rob. So I'd start Wilt, bench Hakeem, and then cut D-Rob if we're talking about at the center position. Next one is going to be D-Book, Jordan Poole, and Dark Matter Isaiah Thomas. That is a 3 completely different cards in the game. D-Book obviously going to be starting. I think he's a top 5 point guard in the game, definitely starting out of these 3 cards. Jordan Poole, Isaiah Thomas, I mean, both aren't great, but Jordan Poole is still better than the IT card. He's just too undersized. Isaiah Thomas only being 6'1" and not going to be a great defender. Next one is going to be Ben Simmons, Sean Livingston, and Sengun. For me personally, this one's pretty easily. I think Sean Livingston is easily the best point guard in the game. And then between Sengun and Ben Simmons, I've always said Sengun is just a better Ben Simmons because of the fact that he's got a way better jump shot and a way higher 3 ball. Now Ben Simmons is still probably the better defender, has the better player model in game, but if you take a look at their stats, I mean, very similar stats, right? All around, I would say Sengun's got slightly better stats, and then that plus 24 3 ball. If you look at their badges, I mean, going to be very similar badge count. Sengun's got tons more of gold shooting badges, which is a big plus, and then Ben's got more Hall of Fame defensive badges. So I'd say Ben Simmons is still probably a little bit better on the defensive end. But then when we go to animations, this is where stuff goes completely out of the water, for Ben Simmons. Like, Sengun's got a way better size up, he's got a way better escape, he's got a way better jump shot, he's got a way higher 3 ball. I mean, for me personally, I think Sengun is a better point guard, but Ben Simmons is still really, really good. So if you want to put Ben over Sengun, I think that's perfectly cool to do so. Just in my opinion, I would say start Sean Livingston, bench Sengun, and then cut Ben Simmons. Next one is going to be AK-47, Jonathan Bender, and Jonathan Isaac. For me, AK-47 easily going to be starting. I think he's the best small forward in the game. I think him and Bill Russell are close. I mean, Bender's pretty good as well. And then between Jonathan Bender and Isaac, it really depends, what you need from your small forward. At the small forward position, if you're looking for defense, if you're looking for that lockdown card, that's when I think you go for Jonathan Isaac. If you just want a card to play really good defense, guard ball, and sit in the corner and spot up, I think Jonathan Isaac is the better card. If you're looking for a card that can do more, create his own shot on the offensive end, score the ball at a very high rate, defend, still be a really good defender, but be able to score the ball and handle the ball a little bit better, I think the all-around better card is Jonathan Bender, because he can do everything. He's 7 foot, he can defend, dribble the ball, shoot threes, create his own shot, just do everything on the court at such a high level. So for me, if we're talking about all around the best card, I would say start AK-47, bench Jonathan Bender, and then cut Jonathan Isaac. But if you need that defensive guy, then I would put Isaac over Bender. Next one is going to be Tim Thomas, Bender, and AK. Once again, I would say this one's pretty easy, but does depend on what you need for your small forward. For me, it's going to be start AK. I think he's the best small forward in the game, bench Jonathan Bender, and then cut Tim Thomas. I mean, Tim's still a really good offensive card. Jonathan Bender, in my opinion, is just the new Tim Thomas. Maybe not as good on offense as Tim, but now he's 7 foot, has all those updated badges, stats, and he's going to be a very good defender, a lot better than a card like Tim Thomas. Next one is going to be AK, Bill Russell, and Purvis Ellison at the 3. I think these could be the top 3 small forwards in the game. I would say for me, it's definitely AK and Bill Russell number 1 and number 2. And that really comes down to at least, once again, what you need from your small forward. If you just want a card to play defense, I think Bill Russell is still a tiny bit better than AK on the defensive end because of his player model, his wingspan, and just his defensive stats and badges are just a slightly bit better. But if you're looking for the better all-around card at the small forward position or power forward, I mean, AK is just the better card. I think that's pretty straight up. Like, if you look at their stats, I mean, they're going to be very similar. But then if you look at their badges, not their badges, you look at their animations, AK's got the way better release, he's got the better leaner, he's got the better dribble sigs, he's even got the better defensive stance, which matters. So AK for me is the best small forward in the game if we're talking about all around card. If you're just looking for a lockdown, then I think Bill Russell is the best lock in the game still because of his player model. So for me, all around at the small forward position, I would start AK, bench Bill Russell, and then cut Purvis Ellison. Purvis is still really nice at the 3. I like his jump shot, got good dribble sigs. I just like AK and Bill Russell a tad bit more. Looking at the next one, that was going to be AK, Ferry, and Purvis. A lot of small forward ones as well, because I can see this one, you know, down here as well from my boy Obi. For this one, I would say AK, Purvis, and Ferry in order. So start AK, bench Purvis, and then cut Danny Ferry. I just like Purvis a tad bit more than Ferry because of his defense. And I think all around is just a slightly better card than Danny Ferry, but really close at that small forward position. For this one, it's going to be Jonathan Bender, Durant, and AK. Once again, gotta have AK-47 starting. I think he's the best small forward in the game between Kevin Durant and Jonathan Bender. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, Jonathan Bender is just a better card. I mean, KD is probably more fun to use because we all like him in real life, or most of us probably like him in real life, and he's super fun to watch and just use in game. But the better card is going to be Jonathan Bender. So for this one, I would start AK, bench Bender, and then cut Kevin Durant. Next one is going to be Kristaps, Hakeem, and Taco. Finally getting to some big man because they've been dropping a lot of good bigs recently in the game. So for me, I would say start Taco. He's just one of the more glitchy cards in the game, and I'm assuming we're talking a power forward because Taco can only play that power forward position. But yeah, Taco's super glitchy. He's 7'6" with an 8'2" wingspan. I mean, the card's just ridiculously broken. I mean, he's just super OP. He runs super fast in the game, one of the best defender, and he's basically unstoppable underneath the basket. And then between Kristaps and Hakeem, I think at the power forward position, am I crazy to say Hakeem's better than Kristaps? I might be. I think Kristaps is definitely the better card than Hakeem. I'm not debating that at all, but I'm saying for power forward, I think I might like Hakeem a tad bit more. I'm not 100% sure. I'm really high on this Hakeem card. I think he's got a great release. I like his defense. I just like his speed and athleticism more at the power forward position compared to a card like Kristaps, because at the 4, you're probably going to face, you know, more athletic, faster, better defenders. Like, you need a better defender at the 4 than you need at the center position. So for me personally, I would say start Taco, bench Hakeem, and then cut Kristaps if we're talking about at the power forward position. If we're just talking about an overall card, I would say start Taco, bench Kristaps, and then cut Hakeem if we are talking about like which are the best all-around cards in the game between these 3. Next one is going to be Jordan Poole, Glenn Rice, Ricky Davis. I mean, as much as, you know, you probably like Jordan Poole because you are a Warriors fan, I mean, Ricky Davis start, Glenn Rice bench, and then cut Jordan Poole. I mean, Ricky Davis and Glenn Rice is somewhat close, but I do like Ricky's jump shot more, and they pretty much have the same sigs. Next one is going to be KG, Yee, and Dino. This one I think is a little bit closer. I would say probably start KG, still a very good defender, got a good jump shot, pretty good dribble sigs for a big man as well. So I'd start KG, and then I'd bench Dino and cut Yee. I just like Dino's jump shot, maybe not more than Yee's in the catch and shoot, but he's a better defender with that 8-foot wingspan. He's got better dribble sigs. I would say for this one, start KG, bench Dino, and then cut Yee. I'm just going to quickly go through these and just kind of rapid fire them a little bit here. Not really give too much explanation, but just tell you guys who I'd start, bench, and cut. So for this one, PG, regular KD, and AK. Start AK, bench PG, and then cut AK. Or what? Start AK, bench PG, and cut KD. I think Paul George is slightly better than Kevin Durant, mainly due to his jump shot and his sigs. Bill Russell, KD, not the hero version, AK-47. Start AK, bench Bill Russell, and then cut KD. Sean Livingston, Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons. I would probably start Sean Livingston, bench Jimmy Butler, and cut Ben Simmons, but between Jimmy Butler and Sean Livingston, really comes down to preference if you want more defense or offense at your point guard position. Next one is going to be Wilt Chamberlain, KP, and D-Rob. I would start KP, bench D-Rob, and then cut Wilt. I'm really not too high on Wilt. I just think he's got a terrible jump shot and is going to be super hard to green with. Next one is going to be Hakeem, Shaq, and D-Rob. If we're talking about at power forward, I would start Hakeem, bench D-Rob, and then cut Shaq. If we're talking about center, it's probably the same thing. Maybe start D-Rob over Hakeem. Not 100% sure, but start Hakeem, bench D-Rob, and cut Shaq. Next one is going to be Opal Giannis, Bill Russell, and Bender. For this one, I would start Bill Russell, bench Jonathan Bender, and then cut Opal Giannis. Sengun, Scotty Barnes, and Magic. This one really comes down to preference. I mean, this one is just going to be my personal opinion because there's not really like, I mean, some positions you can tell like which card is way better than another, but for this one, I mean, I would start Scotty Barnes, bench Sengun, and then cut Magic. But between Sengun and Scotty, it really comes down to preference. I think Scotty's just a lot faster with the ball in his hands, and he's a way better scorer because I like his jump shot more. I think he's also got a tiny bit better SIGs. And then defensively, I think his overall defense might impact a little bit more than Sengun because Sengun doesn't really have the best player model in the game. I do want to find maybe one more that's kind of interesting that we haven't gone over. Hakeem, Jokic, D-Rob. I mean, start Hakeem, bench D-Rob, cut Jokic. This one, I mean, there's not really too many like super tough ones to go over. I'm trying to see if there's any crazy ones like Wilt, Mutombo, Kareem. I would start Mutombo, bench Kareem, and then cut Wilt. Diamond Boban, you know, I'll end it on this one. I guess we'll just end it on the big man. But Diamond Boban, Pink Diamond Simbu Lar, and Amethyst Taco. I think you got to start Sim. I mean, he's 7'5" and super glitchy. I know he's got no speed and can't shoot threes, but I mean, Boban's just so slow. I mean, maybe you start Boban because at least he can, yeah, I guess you start Boban because at least Boban can shoot threes. So I'd start Boban, bench Sim, and then cut Amethyst Taco. So yeah, guys, that's going to be another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. Let me know in the comment section down below 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut from your guys' team, or just your, you know, if you were just thinking about 3 cards you want to pick up, I'll tell you guys what I would do with them if I'd start them, put them on the bench, or then not add them to the lineup. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.